back, everybody, and so are we. Welcome back to Challenge the Call with Max and Avery. I'm your host, Max.
I'm Avery. How are you guys?
All right, so long time no see. Sorry about we had a lot of different scheduling issues. As y'all know, I'm a football coach, and it's football season, so I've been jam packed. Avery's also been dealing with a lot of scheduling stuff on his end.
Yeah, man. New dad, full-time student, full-time employee, full-time husband. It becomes a lot, but we're back, and let's get this started.
All right, so little update on we're planning on doing our recordings on Friday mornings now, as that is the only time I'm ever actually free to record. And so we'll probably get videos out around Saturday-ish. Will be about the time we'll start posting weekly content, so be ready for that. Anyway, let's get straight into it with our main segment, Bear Central. Avery, how do you think the preseason went for us?
I mean, we went undefeated, so that's good. I saw a lot of bright spots against the Chiefs. Nothing. It was first preseason game. I was just excited football was back. But against the Browns, Justin Fields looked really sharp. He looked like he belonged out there. He looked like he was ready to take that next step this year and make a name for himself. So I'm really excited to see what he has to offer. What are your takes? I know you watched that Browns game.
Yeah, the Browns game is the main one I would like to talk about because I didn't get much of a chance to watch versus the Chiefs or versus the Seahawks, just with my own football schedule going on. But I did see the majority of that Browns game, and I gotta say, there are some good things and there are some bad things about that game. I enjoyed watching the team work well together. I think they meshed well. I think Fields had a good performance. I really do think he's going to be awesome. I think he's the guy. He's going to get it done. He's been putting in a lot of work in the offseason, and he wants this. He wants this really badly, and I just think that kind of mentality and that kind of drive, that's what you can't instill in a quarterback. That has to come naturally, and I think he's got that. So that's good. The one thing that makes me nervous, and I know we were talking a little bit about this before, is the fact that we went up 21-0, which was awesome, but that was with our ones. And I would argue, the Browns might have had starting players playing, but not their full starting power playing, because Myles Garrett was on the bench. I'm sure there were some others on the bench that they're going to have that they didn't. And the minute we took those starters for us out and put in our backups, we proceeded to go down 20-0. Because, 21-20 final score. But when you look at who scored those points, it just makes me nervous that, our second string, doesn't seem like it can keep up with the first, against other second stringers,
I totally agree, man. And I got a couple of player positives though, through the games. Khalil Herbert, man. Herbert performed all offseason, and it translated into the preseason, because with him outperforming David Montgomery, there's a little weird story there that I might mention. But I saw this thing on Facebook that when Thurman Thomas, Buffalo Bill NFL legend, and Barry Sanders, NFL legend with the Lions, they were together at Oklahoma State. Thurman Thomas was a junior and senior, and Barry Sanders was a freshman and sophomore. Teams did not want to hurt Thurman Thomas because they were scared of what Barry Sanders was going to do if he got in the game. And so I like that, because it's okay, maybe that's a situation we have here. David Montgomery's our starter, but maybe, Khalil Herbert will progress into something even better. I really
definitely
like it.
And I do like that. typically, when you put your second string in, you notice there's a little bit of a drop off, a little bit of a lag. It's not like I was just talking about with the Bears, but I think the running back position, that might be the one spot on our roster that when we take Montgomery out and put Herbert in, you're not going to notice any difference. I think that might be the one position that we are safe at to be able to go back and forth, give both and that'll make it just even the more powerful is the fact that we can switch those two out every series, every few plays, however often, and get them rest. We can rest them up. They will be fresh and healthy. They can get breaks during the game, and we're going to perform equally well with both. So I think that's going to bode well for us.
100%. I agree. There's no drop-off, and that's the best part that you can have. Another player that I have felt very strongly, and he's only a rookie, Jaquan Brisker.
Yes.
He had a great offseason, and I'm glad he was our second-round pick. People, made a face and was like, because we went defense in the offseason. But I'm so glad we went defense because that man's a dog, and he's fighting out there. So I just want to see him translate that today against the 49ers. But we'll talk about that later. You got any positive or negatives player-wise?
Yeah, with Jaquan Brisker, I will say I questioned a little bit going defense because I know, Bears offense, that's where we need work. That's where we need to step it up. But watching him play, seeing what he can do, I definitely like the choice. I think it's a good choice. We are the Monsters of the Midway. We are a defensive brand, and so I do think it is, as much as our offense needs work, I think it is very important to keep that defense up and healthy and at 100% so that teams can't, have an easy week coming and playing the Bears. Yeah, defensively for other teams, maybe they're like, oh, we're playing the Bears. We can, not have to worry about too much. But I want other offenses. I don't want them slacking on us,
For sure. Yeah, I'm excited for I saw a lot of positives this offseason. And Eberflus's play calling, it's a little conservative, and it's not as, in tuned as like Matt Nagy. And I'm okay with that because Matt Nagy, half of the crap he was doing, it didn't work. And I don't care if, you're like this offensive genius. I don't care. Look how it's worked out for Nebraska and Scott Frost. But, yeah, man, I'm excited for the season. Do you want to go to the regular season?
Let's do it. So, first off, from a whole season standpoint, the Bears over/under for the season for games 1 is 6.5. What are you taking there? Over or under 6.5 games 1 this season?
Unfortunately, I hate to say this because it kills me to say this. I'm taking the under. I think we're gonna go 4-13. I say lowest 4-13, highest is 6-11, and so it makes me really nervous. We have all the potential, and I think it's gonna be a lot of close games, and I think it's gonna be tooth and nail to the fourth quarter, but I don't think we are talented enough. I think we're young, and I think we're inexperienced, and we're not just a rookie head coach. So what's your takes?
I think I'm going to agree with you there. I'm going to take the under. I'm hoping that that's a close under. Like when I say I'm taking the under, I'm very hopeful that that's going to be a 6 games 1 type of under. If we do hit the over, if I put money down on Bears going under 6.5 and we hit the over, I am ecstatic. I do not care about the money lost. Of course, I will be excited that the Bears won more than 6 games, even if it's only 7 or 8, just because, like, records reflect a lot, I feel. Like, no one remembers how you play, what you do, like, everyone knows the record. So the better the record, like, the happier I am. I don't care if I lose out on that bet at all, but I do think the under is likely. I'm hoping it's a 5 to 6 games won still, but I guess we'll have to see what happens. Because, yeah, our offense, while much improved, we're very young. And so I think that just with their youth, they're not the lack of experience. I think they're going to take a couple years, 2-3 years to just be in the NFL, play some games, learn. They're going to learn a lot. They're going to gain such valuable experience. I think 2 to 3 years, we might be a playoff team, like a contender. I think we'll be a strong contender in 2 or 3 years after this group of young guys. They'll still all be fairly young football-wise, like age-wise, so they'll be young, healthy, able to perform, but they'll have the experience to back it up, and they'll be able to go do great things, I think. But this season is their first one, so I think they got learning to do.
I agree. The one thing that I'm hoping for out of this season is, and I should have mentioned this in the positives, Darnell Mooney and Justin Fields, chemistry. Like Darnell Mooney's a great receiver, and that's the reason we lost Allen Robinson. But I really think if they can get on the right foot and then throw in Velus Jones and you throw in Byron Pringle, and then we have some speed at that receiver position. We have some speed. They're just so inexperienced. And in 3 years, we could be talking about our receiving core being like Kansas City's. And that's what I'm hoping. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, all of them are out of the league in 3 years. But, we're not going to think like that. But no, I would be, just like you mentioned, man, I'd be ecstatic if we went to the playoffs and I put $20 on the Bears under and, boom. That's the best $20 I ever spent at that point.
All right, so getting into our first week, we play the 49ers at home, so home game, yay. The odds are 49ers are favored at 6.5. So, Avery, what you putting on that game?
We just talked about, the inconsistency of the Chicago Bears and that how we feel they're going to go 4-13, 5-12 this year. But I am not taking that for this game. I got the Bears plus 6.5. I think we go out and we make a statement game in week 1 against the San Francisco 49ers. And I'll tell you a couple reasons. Trey Lance.
Yeah, I am also going to take Bears plus 6.5. Like you said, there's going to be close games. There's going to be a lot of games lost, but they're going to be close. So I don't think we win, but I do think we cover.
For sure. One thing with the 49ers, and this is their track history the last 4 or 5 years under Kyle Shanahan, they start off slow every year. 2-3 start, a 1-4 start, and then they make the playoffs. They just switched from Jimmy Garoppolo to Trey Lance. I think the Bears are more stable, believe it or not. Yeah, we might not be the greatest team, but I also think Justin Fields does have a chip on his shoulder to come out and be like, hey, I had a crappy rookie season because, I was thrown into the fire, but let's go do this thing. Let's go show everybody what I'm made of, why I was drafted 12th overall. And I think this is going to be an awesome, this is going to get us juiced because we really need it after a Hawkeye game this weekend. So
for sure. I am definitely excited to see the Justin Fields debut. He played last season, but last season was not, he wasn't expecting to go in. He was just a backup. He wasn't really supposed to play. He got thrown to the Wolves there. So I don't like to count that as his true debut because he was just thrown to the Wolves. I think he's prepared now. I think he's ready to go. And I know there's a lot of controversy with Trey Lance and if he's going to be San Francisco's guy or not. There's a lot of questions there. What do you think?
Oh, man. Yeah, he has a lot of potential, and he actually does remind me of what Justin Fields looked like last year, believe it or not. Inconsistent, like inaccuracy issues, and it's like, okay, why did we spend a top draft pick on this guy? But I think that Jimmy G should be starting. He gives them the best opportunity to win, and I 100% agree. But at the end of the day, man, I'm not a 49ers fan, so I could care less, and I'm glad they're starting Trey Lance. Let's just say it at that. But
there's one guy I like on the 49ers, and I'm sure you can guess who that is.
George Kittle.
George Kittle, baby.
You know, I love George Kittle. I like Brock Purdy. Those are the only two. But,
sure.
All right. But I want to talk about, I know we just talked about the Bears week 1, but I want to talk about on Thursday night, we had our first regular season of action, Bills-Rams, and it was amazing. Josh Allen, I was cheering heavy on the Bills because I like Josh Allen. I like that culture that the Bills built, and I wish Chicago could get there someday. I want Chicago to get there.
The Bills definitely got started off quick against the Rams with like 31-10. I think the Bills are here. I think I'm comfortable in saying they're going to be in the Super Bowl this year. I think there's no doubt in my mind that like the Bills are going to be like the AFC champions. Like, no, I don't think anyone can touch them. I think it is their year. They came off game 1 firing on all cylinders against the Rams of all teams. I think they got it. I think they're going to go all the way.
I will name 2 hot takes right now. Bills will be in the Super Bowl. Josh Allen will win MVP. 100%. Yeah. I agree. And I think, because the way Josh Allen performs every day, yeah, he had 2 picks on Thursday night, but he was 26 of 31, 5 incompletions, and 4 touchdowns? 4 touchdowns. Hold on, let me make sure that's accurate.
For sure. Dude, no, arguably when this game was coming up, I was like, are we going to end and start the season with the same game? Like, are we going to get down to the Super Bowl and we're going to see a rematch of Bills-Rams? But honestly, I don't know how good the Rams are going to be compared to how they were last year. I don't know if they have that same caliber of play in them right now.
I agree. Matt Stafford, I know he had elbow surgery this offseason, and I think that could have been it. But 3 interceptions by Matt Stafford, and he looked bad. And they didn't even target our boy, Allen Robinson, only once. Once? I mean, yeah, I get that you got Cooper Kupp. That's great and all. But Allen Robinson is like a Pro Bowl receiver. And he's supposed to help and take a lot of that pressure off Cooper Kupp. And I didn't see that. And it looked like the Bills were hungrier, more excited, energized. And there was more Bills fans in that Rams stadium and SoFi than there was Rams fans.
100%. And I think that's because the Bills know it. I think they know this is their year. I don't think there's a doubt in any one of their minds that they are going straight to the Super Bowl. Questionably should have been their last year. It was a little ticky-tacky with overtime rules, how they lost. So I think a lot of them believe that they should have had it last year, and they're back wanting it big this year.
If it wasn't for 13 seconds, the Bills would have been in the Super Bowl last year.
Yes.
13 seconds and Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the field. Unfortunately, when you got Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, that's what's going to happen. It reminds you of the Tom Brady-Peyton Manning duels back in the mid-2000s. But, yeah, man, it was awesome. I loved every little bit of that game. Josh Allen looked great. Gabriel Davis looked great. The defense, Von Miller, oh, my God. Von Miller had like 3 sacks. That first, you couldn't have expected and wanted a better game to start the year than that game.
Definitely. Anyway, speaking of the Super Bowl, let's go back to last year's AFC Super Bowl contenders, the Bengals versus the Steelers. What do you think there? I don't have the odds on it. I could figure them out real quick. But what are your thoughts on Bengals versus Steelers?
Man, I think Bengals win this, unfortunately. But I found myself becoming more and more of a Steelers fan just because.
All right, so the Bengals are favored by 6.5.
Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense. But no, like I was saying, I find myself more and more a Steelers fan, probably because Mitch is a Pittsburgh Steeler, and I have a soft spot for Mitch. And so I'm actually cheering for Pittsburgh. Before Mitch went to Pittsburgh, I would have been like, it's Pittsburgh. I don't really watch Pittsburgh. But I have a soft spot, so I want Pittsburgh to win, even though I like Joey B and stuff. But I think the Bengals will pull it out. They're just a better team defensively. They're a better team offensively. The only thing Pittsburgh has on them is a better coach. What do you think?
I forgot about Trubisky for a sec, not going to lie, but I want to see him do good. I do want to see Trubisky go out there and, not be what he was on the Bears. I want him to be successful. But I am a low-key Bengals fan. Like, I like him. I got a friend who's a big Bengals guy. When they were in the Super Bowl last year, I just thought it was so ecstatic for a team that literally had a losing record the season before. I just thought it was an awesome turnaround, like amazing comeback story. And so I think Bengals by 6.5 is fair. I think they win this game. I think they win it by at least a touchdown. I'm going to take Bengals by 6.5. I like those odds.
Yeah, I agree. But another notable game, Jaguars and Commanders. How do you feel about that game?
The reason I wanted to talk about this game is because I thought we should arguably talk about a couple of the questionably worse teams playing each other. Like, are we getting the toilet bowl out of the way right now? Like, who's going to be the better team this season? I feel like it comes down almost between these two. And who do you think's going to be worse?
I think the Commanders are going to be worse. Carson Wentz, I'm not a fan. He's had his time in the sun. It's done. But I really like what Doug Peterson is building down in Jacksonville. I think Trevor Lawrence, for being such a great college quarterback, is going to step up and make that next step this year. And I think the Jaguars are actually going to be like a 4-13, 5-12 type team like Chicago. And so I don't think the Jaguars are the worst team this year. But I do think the Commanders will be 3-14, 2-15. The Commanders, they're terrible, man. They're terrible.
For sure. I just looked at the odds, and the Commanders are actually favored by 2.5.
Okay.
And so I agree with you, though. I think I'm going to take the Jaguars to cover in those like Jaguars with 2.5. Like, yeah, I'm going to take them to cover. I think Trevor Lawrence comes out and does much better. I don't know if he'll have the same second season Joe Burrow did, but you got to think a lot of quarterbacks that come out and have pretty bad first seasons usually do much improved in that second season. Look at Peyton Manning. Look at Joe Burrow. Like, neither of them had good first seasons at all. But second season comes out, boom, they're awesome. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have that kind of transition. They got Travis Etienne now, too. I don't know if he'll be good or a big contributor, but he's there.
I agree. And I think this is going to be a good what a game to start off week one. Man,
yeah.
What a game. I wish the Bears had that type of game.
Same. Instead, we get to start with arguably the best in the NFC. Well, NFC, not the best.
NFC championship game. That's where they went last year. So we'll see.
All right. And to get to another notable game, a little bit of a revenge game for some. Seahawks versus the Broncos, huh? We got Russ with the Broncos now. We got what's his name with the Seahawks? I can't remember his name, not gonna lie. Drew Lock, yes. Can tell how much I loved him, huh?
Oh man. Drew Lock's not even gonna be starting, unfortunately. Geno Smith won the starting job for the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. So but Russ revenge game, I'm excited because you know what? Russ has been in Seattle since 2011, so I'm excited to see a different side of Seattle and a different side of Russ. Russ in Denver, it's kind of exciting if you really think about it. What's the odds you got there, Max?
Looks like the Broncos are favored by 6.5. Ooh. No, yeah, it's hard for me to picture Russ with any other team other than the Seahawks. I know when it first came out that he was going to the Broncos, I was a little surprised. I'm not sure if I ever thought he would be out of Seattle. It struck me as a bit of a shock, but the way they've been playing the last few seasons, I think he's had some issues with Pete Carroll and has wanted something a little newer, a little fresher. So I understand the change, and I hope it works well for him.
Yeah, man. I think Russ has a lot of potential in Denver. I mean, they got Nathaniel Hackett, the Packers offensive coordinator, and I'm pretty excited to see what Russ can do in Denver. I just want to see him not with Pete Carroll. I don't want, because I feel like the last couple of years, Pete Carroll started handicapping Russ. Like they didn't, when they say let Russ cook, they weren't letting Russ cook. They were handing the ball off 10, 12, 14, well, not 10, 12, like 20 to 24 times to Chris Carson. And they didn't let him cook. Yeah, you throw a little play action here and there, but that's it. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. It's almost like a Matt Nagy, Justin Fields situation where it's like you've got a mobile quarterback, you've got a guy that can run, you can put him on some boots, on some nakeds, and they didn't. They didn't let him move around. They didn't let him be mobile. I'm really curious to see. I think Denver has a decent team. I think they were just very similar to the Bears in the fact that they didn't have the guy for a quarterback. They didn't have that franchised quarterback that they needed to compete. So I'm really curious to see how, with a quarterback like Russell Wilson, how they're going to do this season with a fairly solid team and actually have the quarterback power to do well. And as far as the odds, it's a difficult one. I'm gonna take Broncos money line. I don't know if I want to say they'll do it by 6.5. I think they'll win, but I think maybe only by 3. Because I said, I think they have a solid team, and I think with a good quarterback they can get it done. But I still don't know if they're a great team by any means.
And you got to remember, Pete Carroll is still a really good coach. And
exactly.
He's a Super Bowl winning coach, and I think he'll have Seattle coached up, ready to go. And I think Seattle will be in the game until like the very end, but then I think the Broncos will pull it out at the end. I want to talk about one more game. And I want to talk about Baker Mayfield going back to Cleveland and playing his old team that gave up on him last year. And
another revenge game.
Another revenge game. And I'm excited. And we don't have to spend much time on this, but I'm really excited to see how Baker does. I don't know what the odds are for this game, but I can see the Panthers pulling it out right.
I hope I've always kind of liked the Browns, but I think a part of that was because low key, once they got Baker, I did like Baker. I'm a little bit of a Baker fan. I don't know what everyone's problem was with him. Like, I think he was fine. I hope he goes to the Panthers and does really well. I almost hope he has a Matt Stafford-esque transition of like, fine, I'm going to leave, and then I'm going to go win a Super Bowl. Like, Matt Stafford didn't have any hard feelings against the Lions, but for Baker, it'll be like a, hey, fuck you, I'm going to go be successful elsewhere.
Yep, stick with Deshaun Watson, that's fine. But, hey, down in Carolina, we're the best team in the NFC South. All right.
So, moving on, let's get into our college segment here. Let's talk Hawks. So, we had Iowa's game opener against South Dakota State, which we won, but definitely did not win beautifully. What do you have to say about that game?
That's all I got to say. No. When you win by 3 points and 2 safeties and don't score an offensive touchdown, to start the year, you don't feel that confident in your football team.
Definitely. Which has always been Iowa's weak point. Offense, offense, offense. We don't fucking have it. Petrus is still playing, and I don't understand why. I cannot fathom the decision to have Petrus still playing. And we'll get more into it like after we talk about this game, but even the Seahawks game that just happened yesterday, like, why is he here? Why is he playing? We have 2 other options. Either one I think would be fine. Let's go with them.
Well, and we saw Padilla play against Nebraska last year, and he didn't look that great either. So I get why they haven't went to Padilla, but I want to see what our third string can do. But Brian Ferentz, Kirk Ferentz's son, offensive coordinator, I feel like he's scared to make that move. I feel like he's scared to take Petrus because Petrus evidently did all these things in the offseason. He went to the Manning Academy. He got helped by Peyton and Eli. Petrus came out and he worked all offseason with the ones, and he was supposed to take that big leap this year, which, there's points where you can see like maybe he could be a competent quarterback, but he gets rattled. There's nothing you can do when you get rattled. You overthrow your receivers, especially on those out routes. Bruce can't, he's 5'11". He can't jump up and catch it. And then you got your safety blanket, and at least in the first game, Sam Laporta dropped multiple balls. And so it's not even helping out.
Definitely. I just it's all good that Petrus went and did all the camps and academies, try to get better. I respect giving him a game or two to show that. I respect allowing him the opportunity to come out and do well. But I think these first couple games, I think they have proven that, hey, you may have done all this work, which is great, but this is Big Ten football. This is college football. It's not about how hard you work. It's not about seniority or any of that. Are you going to perform? And
it's about results.
Can you succeed?
Yeah, it's about results. And right
exactly.
now we're not getting results. It's a terrible situation to be in, and I really hate it. But I really enjoy. See, and this is what I think. We play Nevada next week, right? Mm-hmm. I think Petrus will get the start for Nevada, and if he struggles, even if we win, if he struggles against Nevada, that's going to be the plug. 3 games.
I hope so. Answer a question for me, because I had my own football game going on. I couldn't watch much, but was Petrus starting playing the entirety of the Seahawks game? Did we rotate Padilla or that freshman in much, if at all?
No, we didn't rotate at all.
At all. So it was all Petrus. See, and that too, I don't like that, because when did we score our 7? What quarter was it?
In the first quarter, 2 to 3 minutes into the game.
So 2 to 3 minutes into the game, we've scored once. So you arguably had 2 full quarters of the offense not doing anything, and you didn't make a change. You didn't decide to hey, let's see what Padilla can do. Let's see what this redshirt freshman can do. No, we full-heartedly decided that, hey, Petrus hasn't scored for an hour now, but let's keep them in the game because obviously everything's fine, right?
It is ugly, man. I agree with you. Every time we're already talking about Iowa State, so we might as well get into it.
For sure. It was a more notable game, an actual FBS Big 10 or Big 12, but an actual Power 5 school. So it was 10-7. It was 10-7 for anyone that doesn't know, Iowa State. So continue on.
So you're going to hear me sigh a lot when we talk about the Hawkeyes. But okay. 6 games since 2014. Iowa has had the Cyhawk Trophy in Iowa City, and we ruined it yesterday. It's sad when your defense has only given up 13 points and about 300 yards all season in 2 games, and you're 1-1 because you would think, okay, you're 2-0, you're 2-0, ready to go. And your Iowa's probably in the top 25 at that point. Unfortunately, our defense got tired, and that's because for the longest time we were winning that game 7-3 until the fourth quarter with about 7 minutes left into the game. And when your defense, I saw the time of possession in the game, and it outnumbered us double. There was 70-35.
That's what I was just going to ask. What's the time of possession there? Yeah, definitely. When your offense is bad enough that they can't even maintain possession of the ball, that they can't even give the defense a long enough break to recover, that's when your offense is really going to drag your entire team down. Now, obviously, you need an offense in the first place to score points because defense can't do everything, but you get to a point where if your offense is bad enough, they start bringing down the defense with them because they go out there, they go 3 and out, and it's like, hey, D, get back out on the field. You're going to play this entire game today. You can't have that. That's when defenses are going to start breaking down. They're going to get tired, and they're not going to perform anymore. So arguably, we shouldn't have even given up 10 points with our defense if the offense would have, at the very least, taken up some time on the field, given that defense a break.
Definitely. I agree. One thing that was heartbreaking for me watching that game is, Pottebaum, right? Our fullback.
Yep.
We were at the 1 yard line. It's a fullback dive, and he fumbled into our own end zone. And if we would have scored there, we would have went up 14-3, and this game wouldn't have been close. And
that just felt like a typical Iowa moment to me. I know I was on the way back from Wisconsin at that point, had a student manager giving me some updates on the game. And yeah, when I heard we were on the 1 yard line, comfort. I was like, 1 yard line, even if we just kick a field goal, at least we're up 2 score, or it wouldn't be 2 scores because they had 3, but I was like, at least we'll be up, okay, nothing too bad can happen here. Boy, was I fucking wrong.
Well, and if you watch the highlights, and this might be bias coming from me, but he was past the goal line before he fumbled the ball. He reached the ball out, broke the plane, and then he was there. There's some calls in that game also that just didn't go our way. Also, one thing I did watch, our field goal kicker is not that great this year. Usually Iowa has a pretty strong field goal kicker. I know our senior retired.
Yeah, I think Iowa just I'm glad to a degree that they lost just for the sake of I need someone to open their eyes at that school. I need someone to open their eyes, realize that they need to change things. They need Pietrus needs to come out. Brian Ferentz needs to not be our offensive coordinator. I don't know what they got to change, but they got to change things. Anyway, getting into next week with Nevada, I don't know hardly anything about Nevada. So what do you think of that game? How's it going to go?
The Wolf Pack. That's all I know. No, they're a Mountain West team, and I think they were pretty solid last year. I don't remember. I don't know. I don't have time to check right now. But we should win. I think our defense is going to overpower their offense, and I think their quarterback's going to throw a couple of mistakes, but it's probably going to be another like 10-3 football game because our offense can't get anything going, and unfortunately that's just how it is. And as an Iowa fan, you kind of have to live with that, and it sucks. It really does suck, but yeah, at the end of the day, what do you think?
Well, there's no line out yet for that game, but if Iowa ends up not being favored to win, I think I will take Iowa to cover. I don't care what it is. Maybe it's only 2.5 that they could cover, but whatever. Like I'll take them to cover 2.5. I don't know. Hopefully we can come out with the actual win. I think, like you said, our defense is good enough that even if we have another South Dakota State incident, the defense can outscore the offense and we can win again. You know, maybe we get a pick six and that is the only 7 we have on the board. I don't know, but I think hopefully our defense can get it done.
Yeah, I agree. Oh man, it sucks being an Iowa fan. I'm telling you, I'm in turmoil right now. And it's not going to get any better. Not this year.
But hopefully, hey, like I said, maybe just after a rough season this season, maybe we get some eyes open to, hey, like we need to ship up or ship out.
Definitely, man. But I want to move on to other college notable games for week 2. Down in Austin, Texas, the Longhorns faced Alabama, and it came down to the wire. And unfortunately, Alabama, the number 1 team in the country, did win 20-19. But Texas had them on the ropes that whole fourth quarter.
Now, what I want to know, what's your take on the closeness of this game? Is Texas better than assumed, or is Alabama not as good as assumed? Where are you going in that range?
I think with Texas's quarterback Quinn Ewers, the freshman, he balled out, and then he got hurt in the second quarter. And then it was like, okay, Texas is still Texas. But it just goes to show you're one quarterback away in college football. And unfortunately, rub it into Iowa's faces because we don't have that quarterback. Yeah, man, Quinn Ewers really performed really well. But on the flip side, I think Alabama isn't as advertised. I don't think they're that good. They're not the Alabama old. What are your takes? What do you think?
I didn't watch anything of this game. Hearing the score, I was surprised. I was like, oh, okay. Like, Texas kept it close. In my head, I immediately assumed that it was Texas better than expected, but it wasn't until now asking you, honestly, that I thought maybe Bama's not as good as expected. Like, that's the kind of precedent or the wake that Bama has is I love that just like my brain, like I go straight to, wow, Texas must be pretty good if they're beating Bama, like, because Bama obviously can't be bad, right?
Right. Alabama's offense struggled mightily in that game. Really, Texas's defense looked like the better defense out on that field, which was kind of fun to watch. One thing, and it wasn't that just Texas kept it close. Texas should have won that game. Alabama kicked a field goal with 12 seconds left to win the game.
Ooh, interesting.
Texas was winning up until 12 seconds left in the game, and 19-17. And yeah, so that frustrated me. Another notable game, man, is Marshall beat Notre Dame, and I'm just gonna name off a couple. Yeah,
I heard a lot about that one.
Wow, Marshall. But no, it's pretty cool seeing a smaller school go out and beat like number 5 team in the nation is always kind of cool to see. And then what was another upset? Appalachian State beat Texas A&M, the number 6 team in the nation. So there's a couple of underdogs, and so the cool stat about that is that both of them are from the Sun Belt Conference. So 2 Sun Belt teams won against 2 Power 5 schools. And then Georgia Southern went into Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska last night.
I was gonna bring that one up. I know you mentioned Scott Frost earlier. We were talking about scheming and whatnot, but I'm sorry, especially being an Iowa fan. Every time I see Nebraska lose another game by single-digit points or by 1 score, I can't help but laugh. To me, it's just become a bit at this point. It is hilarious to me. If I was watching that game and I was watching Nebraska come down to the wire, get right there to the end, like just about score, just about win the game, and then all of a sudden, like, nope, like tides turn, Georgia Southern comes out, like drives down the field. It was hilarious to me. At this point, it's just a joke. It's funny. I think it's hilarious how. What game is this now? What streak are they on of single-digit games?
I believe it is game number 11.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't know. I don't understand how like Scott Frost, I don't know. Like, Nebraska's not that bad of a team. I hate to say it.
They shouldn't be. They should be better than they actually are.
Their offense is capable, and in some thoughts, I hate to say it as an Iowa fan living in Nebraska, but sometimes I think their offense is so much better than Iowa, and I'm a little bit jealous of their offense. I hate to say it. But their defense is atrocious, so I would never take that. But I'm just like, sometimes I'll sit back and like, man, if we just had Nebraska's offense, we would be top 15, top 20 team. But they can't pull the trigger, man. They have that culture, and it's so funny because me living in Nebraska and being a Hawkeye fan, it's just so funny hearing all these Nebraska fans. Well, we had the 90s. We have a winning culture. We're a winning organization. I'm like, are you guys? Because every time, what? Come on now. No.
Their winning culture is it's old. That culture is dead. It's gone.
It's gone.
Like
it's
they do not have a winning culture. Like, that's great. Like, you can talk about the 90s all you want. That's what, 30 years ago? Like,
30 years.
We are in the 2020s right now. Like that, like, you can't bring up the 90s like it's going to be relevant in the football world.
I agree, man. But no, I really enjoyed that game. Anytime I can see Nebraska lose, it's always makes my heart a little bit happier. I know we're about to wrap up, but I want to mention one thing. Today is September 11th, and I'm going to get on a personal note. 9/11 holds a special place in a lot of Americans' heart for what happened in 2001. So I just wanted to have like a quick 20-second moment of silence for that. And then I'll have Max close us out today. And we're back. Thanks, guys. I know it's been a great show, and we're going to flip roles today. So, Max, do the honors.
All right. I just want to say, make sure you go like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Challenge the Call podcast. Go find us on YouTube, subscribe. We're going to start doing weekly videos, hopefully on Fridays. So everybody get out there and be active on our social media. We'll try to give you what you guys want. All right. Anyways, with that being said, bear down.